There was once a person who searched far and wide for wealth. He chased opportunities, copied others, and filled his mind with endless desires. Yet the more he chased, the further abundance seemed to slip away. One day he came across a simple idea, something as ordinary as vinegar. Sour in taste, sharp in scent, often overlooked. But within its nature lies a quiet lesson: transformation. Vinegar begins as something sweet, and through time, patience, and change, it becomes something powerful. So too is the journey of wealth. If your thoughts are restless, your actions scattered, and your heart filled with envy, then no amount of effort will bring lasting prosperity. But when you refine yourself, when you remove the impurities of doubt, fear, and greed, you begin to attract what you seek. This vinegar secret is not about the object itself, but the discipline it represents. Clean your space, simplify your habits, be mindful of what you consume, not just food, but thoughts and influences. Let go of what is no longer serving you, just as sourness replaces sweetness to create something new. April is a time of renewal. A moment to reset your path. Do not chase money. Is naturally drawn to calm, focused, disciplined, and free from desperation. When your inner world becomes balanced, your outer world begins to respond. Remember, true wealth does not arrive through force. It arrives quietly when you are ready to receive it. Transformation is the real secret. Just like vinegar transforms from something sweet into something powerful, true wealth comes through personal growth and inner change. Transformation is often misunderstood as something dramatic or instant, but in truth it is quiet, slow, and deeply internal. Just as vinegar begins its journey as something sweet and gradually changes through time, effort, and unseen processes, a person's path toward wealth follows a similar pattern. At first there may be raw potential ideas, dreams, and ambitions that feel exciting but unrefined. However, without patience and the willingness to evolve, that potential remains incomplete. The sweetness of initial desire must pass through stages of challenge, discipline, and sometimes discomfort before it matures into something truly valuable. Many people look for quick results, believing that wealth is something to be acquired instantly through luck or shortcuts. But lasting prosperity is not created in moments of impulse. It is built through consistent refinement of thoughts, habits, and actions. Just as vinegar requires time to develop its strength and character, a person must allow themselves the time to grow, to learn from mistakes, and to sharpen their understanding of the world. This process may feel uncomfortable, much like the sharpness associated with vinegar, but it is precisely this discomfort that shapes resilience and wisdom. Transformation also requires letting go of what once felt right but no longer serves a higher purpose. The sweetness that vinegar starts with does not disappear without reason. It changes form to become something more useful and enduring. In the same way, certain habits, beliefs, or even relationships may need to be released in order to make room for growth. Holding on too tightly to comfort can prevent progress, while embracing change allows new opportunities to emerge. Another important aspect of transformation is consistency. It is not a one-time decision, but a continuous commitment to becoming better than yesterday. Small, repeated actions, improving your mindset, staying disciplined in your work, and maintaining clarity in your goals gradually shape your reality. Over time, these small efforts compound, creating results that seem almost effortless from the outside, yet are rooted in deep inner work. True wealth, then, is not just about money, but about the strength of character developed along the way. When a person transforms internally, they begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. They act with confidence rather than fear, and with purpose rather than confusion. This inner shift naturally influences external outcomes, attracting success in a way that feels aligned rather than forced. In the end, the lesson of transformation teaches that nothing of lasting value comes without change. Just as vinegar holds its power because of the process it has gone through, a person's ability to attract and sustain wealth depends on their willingness to grow, adapt, and transform from within. Inner clarity attracts outer wealth. A calm, focused, and disciplined mind attracts money more naturally than chasing it with stress and desperation. Inner clarity is one of the most powerful forces behind true prosperity, yet it is often ignored because it does not appear as visible action. People tend to focus on external effort, working harder, chasing more opportunities, or imitating the success of others, while forgetting that the mind directing these actions determines their outcome. When the inner world is scattered, filled with worry, comparison, or confusion, even the strongest effort becomes weak. But when the mind becomes still and clear, even small actions carry great power. Clarity begins when a person learns to observe their thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Many thoughts that occupy the mind are not truly helpful. They are reactions formed from fear, past experiences, or social pressure. When these thoughts are left unchecked, they create inner noise that clouds judgment. A person may then feel busy all the time but still move in circles without progress. However, when awareness is developed, one starts to recognize which thoughts are useful and which are simply distractions. This simple shift changes everything because energy is no longer wasted on confusion. A clear mind does not mean a mind without thoughts. It means a mind that is organized and focused. In such a state, decisions become easier. Instead of reacting emotionally, a person begins to respond with understanding. This difference may seem small, but it is the foundation of wise action. Financial success, opportunities, and growth often come to those who can see situations clearly without being overwhelmed by pressure or desire. Inner clarity also reduces dependence on external validation. When someone is constantly comparing their progress with others, they lose sight of their own path. This comparison creates anxiety and leads to poor decisions driven by urgency rather than purpose. But when clarity is present, a person understands their own timing. They no longer rush just because others are moving faster. Instead, they focus on building steady progress aligned with their own capacity and direction. Another important aspect of clarity is emotional balance. Emotions like fear, envy, and impatience can distort perception. For example, fear may cause someone to avoid opportunities, while envy may push them toward unnecessary risks. A clear mind does not eliminate emotions but understands them. It allows emotions to exist without letting them take control. This balance creates stability as essential for long-term success. When inner clarity becomes a natural state, life starts to feel less chaotic. Decisions are made with confidence, actions become more intentional, and results begin to reflect this inner order. Wealth and success are no longer seen as distant goals, but as natural outcomes of aligned thinking and behavior. In this way, clarity does not just improve financial outcomes, it transforms the entire experience of living, making every step more meaningful and effective. Let go of negativity. Removing envy, fear, greed, and doubt is essential to creating space for abundance in life. Letting go of negativity is one of the most difficult yet most powerful steps on the path toward inner and outer abundance. Negativity does not always appear in obvious forms. It often hides in subtle thoughts, repeated patterns of comparison, silent jealousy, fear of failure, and even in the habit of constantly doubting one's own worth. These inner burdens slowly shape how a person sees the world. When the mind is filled with negativity, opportunities appear smaller, challenges feel heavier, and progress seems distant even when it is close. Negativity acts like a filter over perception. It does not change reality itself, but it changes how reality is experienced. Two people can face the same situation, yet one may see possibility while the other sees limitation. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the internal state. When envy takes root, a person begins to measure their life against others, forgetting that every path unfolds differently. This comparison steals peace and replaces it with unnecessary pressure. Instead of focusing on personal growth, energy gets wasted on observing others, which rarely leads to improvement. Fear is another form of negativity that quietly restricts movement. It whispers that failure is certain, that risks are dangerous, and that change should be avoided. While caution has value, excessive fear becomes a barrier. It prevents action even when opportunity is present. Over time, this creates a pattern where a person dreams more than they act, thinks more than they build, and observes more than they participate. Breaking this cycle requires awareness that fear is often imagined, not factual. Letting go of negativity does not mean forcing oneself to feel only positive emotions. It means becoming aware of harmful patterns and choosing not to feed them. Thoughts that create anger, jealousy, or hopelessness gain strength only when they are repeatedly entertained. When attention is withdrawn, their influence naturally weakens. This process is gradual and requires patience because the mind is used to its habitual patterns. However, with consistent practice, a shift begins to occur. Another important step in releasing negativity is learning forgiveness, not only toward others but also toward oneself. Many people carry past mistakes, regrets, and failures as emotional weight. This burden creates resistance in the present moment. But when a person understands that every experience contributes to growth, they begin to loosen their attachment to the past. Forgiveness does not erase history, it removes its control over the present. As negativity decreases, space is created within the mind. This space allows clarity, peace, and better decision-making to emerge naturally. A calm mind is more open to opportunities and less reactive to obstacles. Life does not become free of challenges, but the ability to respond to them improves significantly. In this way, letting go of negativity is not just an emotional practice, it becomes a foundation for a more stable, focused, and prosperous life. Discipline and simplicity matter. Simple habits like cleaning your space, controlling thoughts, and living mindfully help align you with prosperity. Discipline and simplicity are often underestimated in their power, yet they form the foundation of a stable and prosperous life. Many people search for complex strategies to improve their financial situation or personal success, but they overlook the fact that true progress begins with the way daily life is organized. When life is filled with unnecessary clutter, both physical and mental, it becomes harder to focus, harder to act, and even harder to recognize opportunities when they appear. Discipline is not about strict punishment or forcing oneself into discomfort. It is about creating order in daily actions so that energy is not wasted. A disciplined person understands that small decisions repeated consistently shape long-term outcomes. Waking up at a consistent time, completing tasks without delay, and maintaining focus on priorities may seem simple, but over time these actions build a strong internal structure. Without discipline, motivation becomes unreliable, and progress depends on emotions that constantly change. With discipline, progress becomes steady, even when motivation is absent. Simplicity works alongside discipline by removing unnecessary distractions. Modern life often encourages complexity, too many goals, too many opinions, too much information. When the mind is exposed to constant noise, it becomes difficult to identify what truly matters. Simplicity is the act of returning to essentials. It means focusing only on what contributes to growth and letting go of what drains attention and energy. This can apply to physical surroundings, daily routines, and even relationships. A clean and organized environment has a direct impact on mental clarity. When physical space is cluttered, the mind often mirrors that confusion. Small tasks feel heavier, concentration weakens, and stress increases without obvious reason. But when the environment is clean and orderly, the mind naturally feels lighter and more focused. This is why simple habits like cleaning a workspace or organizing belongings are not minor actions. They influence the overall quality of thought and productivity. Discipline also extends to what a person consumes mentally. Every day, the mind absorbs information from social media, conversations, news, and entertainment. If this input is unfiltered, it can create unnecessary comparison, anxiety, and distraction. Being disciplined in consumption means choosing content that supports growth rather than weakening focus. It means being aware of what enters the mind just as carefully as what enters the body. Simplicity in thinking is equally important. Overcomplicating decisions often leads to hesitation and delay. When everything is analyzed excessively, action becomes difficult. A simple approach helps in identifying the most important step and taking it without unnecessary doubt. This clarity reduces stress and increases efficiency in every area of life. Together, discipline and simplicity create a lifestyle that supports progress without chaos. They reduce internal resistance and make it easier to stay consistent over time. Instead of being pulled in many directions, a person learns to move steadily toward their goals with clarity and purpose. In this state, even ordinary efforts become powerful because they are aligned, focused, and free from unnecessary burden. Stop chasing, start becoming. Instead of running after money, become the kind of person that naturally attracts success and opportunities. Stop chasing and start becoming is a shift that changes not only the outcome of life, but also the experience of living itself. Most people are trained, directly or indirectly, to believe that success exists somewhere outside them. They think it is located in a future event, a better job, a higher income, a different place, or even in the approval of others. This creates a constant state of pursuit. The mind becomes restless, always running towards something it does not yet have, and in that running it loses awareness of what is already present. Chasing creates pressure. When a person is always trying to reach something outside themselves, they begin to feel incomplete in the present moment. This feeling of incompleteness becomes a quiet form of suffering. Even when progress happens, it never feels enough because the focus is always shifted ahead. The mind says, I will be happy when I get there, but when there is reached, it moves the goal again. This endless movement keeps peace just out of reach. Becoming, on the other hand, is a different direction entirely. Instead of focusing on what is missing, it focuses on what is being developed within. It asks a deeper question: what kind of person must I become for success to naturally flow into my life? This question shifts attention from external chasing to internal building. It is no longer about grabbing opportunities forcefully, but about shaping the mind, habits, and character so that opportunities align naturally. When a person focuses on becoming, their actions begin to change. They no longer act out of desperation but out of understanding. Work becomes more intentional. Decisions become clearer. There is less emotional disturbance because the foundation is internal rather than external. A person who is becoming is not shaken easily by delays or setbacks because they understand that growth is a process, not an instant reward. This approach also removes unnecessary comparison. When chasing dominates the mind, other people's success feels threatening. It creates jealousy or self-doubt because attention is constantly fixed on what others have achieved. But when the focus shifts to becoming, comparison loses importance. The only relevant measure becomes personal growth. Am I better in understanding, discipline, patience, and awareness than I was before? This internal measurement brings peace instead of pressure. Becoming also brings alignment. Instead of scattering energy in many directions, life starts to move with purpose. Habits begin to support long-term vision. Thoughts become more organized. Even silence becomes meaningful because it is no longer empty but reflective. In this state, progress is not forced, it unfolds naturally through consistent inner development. Eventually, what people often call success becomes less of a distant target and more of a natural expression of inner transformation. Money, opportunities, and stability tend to follow a mind that is steady, focused, and grounded. The irony is that when chasing stops, arrival becomes more likely. And when becoming begins, the need to chase slowly disappears because the person is no longer running toward life, they are growing within it.